Listen up, Earth Angels. Your humor heals the collective. You might be a Heyoka empath. Ooh, are you? Okay, we're gonna find out. All right, on Fridays on Sea Like Sheba, it's the day of the goddess. And so we give ourselves permission to be a little more woo-woo than usual. We get a little esoteric today. We get intentionally mystical, okay? So let me tell you about this thing I learned about like 1 week ago. Um, this concept of a Heyoka empath. I've heard of it in passing, like for a couple of months, but like last week I like heard a message that was just like I was like, whoa, and it made me look it up and I was like, that's it. Okay, so a Heyoka empath is a highly intuitive person who acts as an emotional mirror, reflecting others' hidden feelings, perceived flaws, and energies back to them. Mm. It apparently originates, the word Heyoka is a Lakota, a Plains indigenous tribe. It's a Lakota word and concept. The Heyoka was this like a significant spiritual leader who performed this like a ceremonial role. The kind of translation is sacred clown or sacred jester. Who does that sound like? Mm, mm, mm. Um, so it's this sacred jester who their purpose is to challenge perspectives, disrupt rigid social norms, and provoke healing through humor and unorthodox behavior. Ah, I love that. I feel like this message reaches people who are like me, who, you do have a really keen sense of humor and you're able to see, the absurdity, the humor, the lightness in things that otherwise would be very serious, we could see as very serious. It's really a form of alchemy, also. Like, I always think it's magic, the ability to make someone laugh. Ooh, to say the words, to cast the spell that like forces a laugh from someone. That's magic, baby. Like, I can tell when a man like says something and it's funny and I almost laugh, I'm like, I'm like mad that a man made me laugh. So I try to stifle my laugh and then I laugh when I get home when he can't see me. But anyway, the ability to make someone laugh, literally airbending, literally magic, okay? And so in the Lakota indigenous culture, they have this concept of a sacred clown, a sacred jester. And so during ceremonies, the Heyoka would, so before they would receive these sacred, specific visions of like this thunder being, and then they would, during the ceremonies, they would perform the rituals backwards and they would like otherwise kind of act like opposite to differently from whatever the norms of the society were in order to, kind of just provoke. Let me see, what did they say? Um, Heyoka was a specific ceremonial role for individuals who experience specific visions, performing rituals backwards or acting contrary to the norm to restore balance and make the community think differently. Oof, that's so cool and so brilliant. Yeah, disrupting rigid norms and provoke healing through humor and unorthodox behavior. Like George Carlin, I think people think of him as like a very, talented, powerful comic. And yeah, there's something about comedy that like it just makes it easier for us to tell the truth. It makes it easier for us to talk about the things that pain us, our traumas, our fears, the things that like we're not supposed to talk about for whatever reason. Comedy helps us see like, why aren't we talking about this thing? Maybe we should talk about it, right? And like now that we're all laughing about it, it's easier to talk about it. Ah! And I love the idea that this is like a sacred, spiritual role. Oh, powerful. What else did I screenshot? Okay, so they use extreme behaviors like dancing backwards to mirror others and to force self-examination. I can totally imagine what that, could be like in, in when indigenous tribes were doing it. But also, yeah, I feel like you're a person who, I don't know, you see how everyone else does it and you're like, no, I'm gonna do it backwards. Maybe you're like me. You understand the rituals of our culture are meant to pacify us, to, keep us stuck in the loop of doing these things over and over again, just because we've been doing it for a long time. And so I feel like you're people who disrupt the cycle, who are like, I'm going to not do this ritual. I'm going to question why we're doing this ritual. And if I don't want to, I'm not going to come. And I feel like you, in the, great ceremony, great cosmic ceremony that is this earthly existence, that is human life, you are out here, you're receiving sacred visions, of how to harmonize, rebalance what the collective needs. And then you perform the rituals backwards or otherwise act, contrary to how everyone expects you to, because you're holding up a mirror to them and being like, why are we doing it this way? Isn't this kind of absurd? Isn't this actually like quite silly that we as adults are doing things this way still, just because we've told ourselves we're supposed to keep doing tradition, but like, I don't know, is it working? Is it helping us? So their role is to provoke laughter in times of despair and to provoke fear when people feel secure in order to promote balance. Ooh, that's so powerful. Yeah, because otherwise we end up very unbalanced. And like, I feel like that's in the time that we're in right now. Like, people take the wrong things very seriously, and the things they should be taking seriously, they like, they joke about it. It's not a big deal. And it's like, oh my gosh, how are we? It's so crazy the things that we, normalize as just like, yeah, we got to do it. Like, why though? Shouldn't we be more kind of evolved? Shouldn't we be more able to just like not slovenly, like go along with what we're like told to do? Yeah. So if you are a woman and you've had some trauma and like mild to significant trauma, I think you're supposed to be a comedian. You're supposed to like show us, we understand that like laughter is a healing medicine, but have a lot of comedians who make a lot of money, but somehow, a lot of sickness, a lot of depression, a lot of, fear of speaking up, a lot of inability to tell the truth to power, which I think is the point of, comedy, humor, laughter, is to create the reality you want. Mm, yeah. And I feel like we've been taught to use comedy as an extension of the power structure that is, like white people, men, they, find the groups that they want to keep small, and they want us to keep ridiculing and like minimizing. Um, and like, yeah, they want us to think that like humor is supposed to be, used to be mean to children and, fat people and women and gay people and immigrants. And it's like, there's like a ring of pedophiles that just everyone just accepts that they're gonna forever indefinitely remain in power. And everyone's kind of just like, oh, gotta go to work, can't do anything about it. And it's like, guys, I mean, it's just, it's never been an easier time to be able to speak truth to power, to be able to choose to perform the rituals of society differently, backwards, to be able to, act in ways that like are contrary to what everyone else thinks you should do. So let me tell you some of the traits of so I told you about the ceremonial traditional role of the Heyoka in Lakota culture. Let me tell you about what I found about the Heyoka empath um, idea. Okay, so here's some traits. Okay, they act as an emotional mirror. They reflect back people's flaws, their weaknesses, and their unexamined feelings back to them. So if you're like feeling insecure or toxic, like an interaction with a Heyoka may, bring those feelings to the front and center of your consciousness. You might realize like, oh my gosh, am I like, pretending to be like humble, to be like, more nervous and unsure because I'm trying to like fit in? Oh shit. Reversals. Okay, Heyoka empaths, they naturally think or process things backwards and often do the opposite of what is conventionally expected. I'm always talking about how like you assign the meaning, you know? Like one thing I'm good at is taking a phrase that like we've all kind of tacitly agreed upon and then kind of seeing alternate meanings to it, looking at things differently than they're intended. That often reveals what's actually going on. Okay. So, yeah, I feel like you might have been someone who, like, when you were a kid, uh, you like either refused to do the national anthem if you were American, if you went to American schools, or you were like, what are we doing? Like, huh? We're pledging allegiance to a flag every day as children? That's kind of weird. If North Korea was doing that, we would be like, oh, see, they're brainwashed. But so I feel like you were that kid, and congratulations, you were right. Like you were actually correct. That is weird that they were literally brainwashing children to pledge allegiance to a state. Oof, it's giving Nazi, it's giving fascist, it's giving, North Korea, it's giving American propaganda of a country that is not, America, but is actually very America. Anyway, another characteristic. Okay, sacred jester. They use humor, irony, and satire to make light of serious situations, allowing people to look at their problems from a fresh perspective. Okay, a lot of my humor is about, death, trauma, things you're ashamed of, your shadow, the things we're not supposed to talk about, Zionism, mm, mm, Jewish supremacy, mm-hmm. All the, sexism, racism, the like ways we just like keep ourselves so small. It's ridiculous and absurd and crazy that we're supposed to just like small talk at work about like, you know, the Jets or whatever, whatever the sports game happened. It's like, why are we like performing? It's so absurd. It's so ridiculous. But I feel like you're someone who like, people like to have you around when like there's a funeral or there's been a death in the family. They know you're gonna see like the silver lining in it. You're like, someone's, dad dies, and you're like, man, that's like the origin story of many a superhero. So congratulations, you're about to be a superhero. First step, dead dad. We love that. Going on a journey now. It's giving Lion King. It's giving, what was that? What was that one that we all were into? Take your pick. Okay? So sacred jester, brutal honesty, another trait. Now, I don't necessarily like the phrasing of brutal honesty. I think it's just like a to the point. It's just like a pointing out like the obvious thing without like using all this soft language that we're taught to use. So they tend to spot hypocrisies and won't shy away from pointing them out, which can sometimes come across as confrontational. That's why when I be talking about how ridiculous it is that we just like accept Zionism and Jewish supremacy and how like we think we're just supposed to like not notice it. It's like we're not supposed to notice the elephant in the room because it's a load-bearing elephant. And it's like everyone is like afraid that if we like address that elephant, everything's gonna fall. But like, babe, as I said, was this yesterday's message? Like, some things are supposed to fall, okay? You're not supposed to be using your integrity to keep together things like Zionism, things like Jewish supremacy, things like US imperialism, things like white supremacy. We shouldn't do it. It's not gonna work. So, like, I'm able to see the vision of the future, the very near future, where the curse of the eighth decade has been fulfilled next year. And we all recognize, like, that was crazy that we weren't talking about genocide because we were trying to, like, stay working in jobs that support the perpetuation of genocide endlessly. Like, that's crazy that we're gonna look back very soon. Mark my words. I know you will. I will keep talking about it because I know I win. I know my way of seeing things prevails and that I'm just like such an icon and everyone's like, wow, we didn't think it could be done, but like she was so brave and she said the thing that we were all thinking, but we were like afraid something was going to happen if we said it. You know, my last name is literally Blount. And I share a birthday. I don't know what I said, birthday. I share a birthday with Tracy Morgan and Sinbad. Okay? So I don't want to brag, but yeah. And not only Sinbad and Tracy Morgan, also if you're Australian, Chris Lilly, I think Chris Lilly, he does like Summer Heights High and what is it? Weirdos or something. Anyway, he's also a hilarious comedian, and we all share the same birthday, Scorpio. Oof! But I feel like I'm, the fullest embodiment of the November 10th spot. So I just love it. Anyway, all that to say, sacred jester, the sacred clown, the powerful, important, healing role that the Heyoka plays in society, in our cultures. So, being blunt, spotting the hypocrisies and not shying away from pointing them out. They're also often a free spirit. You may be feeling disconnected from societal norms and walk a very unconventional path, okay? So yeah, if you've always kind of marched to the beat of your own drum, you've always just like thought it was absurd, the things that everyone else is taking like so seriously. Like, oh, I gotta like call my boss, or I gotta like make sure my boss doesn't like know I'm a person, and I gotta like separate this, and I gotta like present this image of who I should be of like a good adult in a business suit, and like I gotta wear beige, and like, I have to make sure my house is, I can get a great resale value. And it's just like, oh my God, what are you guys doing? Who told you to do that? Your parents? Are you just like doing what your parents say? That's like ridiculous that like the measure of maturity for some people is like literally just being so obedient to what like their parents and grandparents think, to like what their boss thinks. Like, oh, that's so childish, so ridiculous. Oh, you're just wearing your suit. Oh. That's how I felt when I was at work before I quit, I was just like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe that they have me, a brilliant lawyer, like playing icebreakers about like, oh, what's your like, favorite food to bring to a summer barbecue? I was like, y'all know there's a genocide going on, right? You know our country is committing a genocide, and you have me, a lawyer working for the government, talking about barbecues? Oof, poor taste. You got us talking about Bridgerton? Babe, Taylor Swift? Oh, come on. It's so embarrassing. It's so like ugh, unbecoming. It's so like, oh, why would I do this performance? Why would I, a brilliant, powerful, brilliant, lawyer and queen named Sheba, do this performance? Just being a humble, just a government employee who just, I don't have any power in the world. Like, what? That's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous to think that. It's so ridiculous to think that, you know, any of my supervisors or, what's his name? Elon Musk or Donald Trump, that like they're better than me. Like, come on. Come on. Why would I think that like my best bet is doing whatever they think I should do? Working as a servant, a public servant, not able to use my voice as I see fit, having to use my voice as like Donald Trump sees fit. Ridiculous, comical, absurd. But yeah, but everyone loves it. Also, I found that when I started speaking my mind and just being honest at work, interrupting these meetings and being like, I'm sorry, guys, why aren't we talking about the genocide? We're a bunch of attorneys working for a government committing a genocide. You don't think in 5 years, everyone's going to be like, where were the lawyers who were working for the government that committed the genocide? And y'all are going to be sitting there like, oh, I guess we were lawyers and did have a lot of power and a lot of safety. And we had the ability, and they just like didn't. Oh, I was like, that cannot be me. I'm going to be on the public record as speaking up, as saying this is wrong, and saying like, we know what's going on and we're choosing to ignore it. That's how holocausts happen. That's how injustice prevails. And I, for one, will not be a part of it. I don't care how crazy it looked. And in fact, I know it looked actually incredibly iconic. I'm like the most interesting that's ever happened at the Social Security Administration ever. I finally gave them an interesting work day. They're so used to everyone just like going along with the hypocrisy and the bullshit and the, small talk and the like white supremacy and the Jewish supremacy. And I'm just like, I'm not gonna do this. Did I miss a meeting where we all agreed to like just bullshit? Just like not be real, just pretend. And like they just expected me and everyone to just like take your little civil servant salary and shut up. Oh, say that 3 times fast. No, I won't. Because I was just like, yeah, I can't do this. I'm going to get up out of here. And now I get to just live my best life. I'm having more freedom, more stability, more wealth, more joy, more rest, more ease than I've ever felt, than I think anyone in my bloodline has ever felt. And it's all because I was ready. I was like willing to go against these like rigid, stupid, harmful, limiting social norms that just do not apply to a queen like me. Yeah. So, anyway, what do you guys think? Isn't that wild though that like there is like a history of, it was like a literal role of a spiritual leader in the Lakota community. Their job was to like use humor and, poking fun at things that everyone else takes so seriously. The traditions, the rituals. They just perform the ceremony backwards. When it's, hot outside, they're, acting like it's like real cold and stuff. Like when it's cold, they're, taking off their clothes. They're like, oh my gosh, so hot. I'm not making that one up. I read it. I was like, okay. And if anything, I saw that it's a man. And I'm like, that's probably where we went wrong. Like, if any role is supposed to like not adhere to a rigid kind of hierarchy and like standard of who should be doing it, it's the Heyoka. It's supposed to be about turning traditional, the things that everyone takes for granted, turning that on its head. So I'm thinking, uh, like, it should be a job for a woman. Absolutely. Women have the vision. Women are the actual funny ones. I've never met a funny man. Billy's kind of funny, but all the women I know are hilarious. And they just need to trust themselves. Mm. Yeah, if you're a woman with mild to significant trauma, you need to be a comedian. Comedy is just a formula. There are certain things that are humorous in different languages, and in English, it's just like a thing. So I suggest you take a comedy class, okay? Take a comedy class. Improv, fine, but like I think stand-up comedy is just like a really powerful medium to be able to tell the truth and heal and say what needs to be said and make us laugh, all right? Yeah, because we say laughter is the best medicine. And like, I think that is true. We've just been taught to use it wrong. It's like you have insulin, but you're like injecting it like straight into your heart or something, not using the medicine in a therapeutic way. That's why, despite having so many comedians, so many well paid people who are paid to do comedy, still a lot of depression, right? Still record numbers of depression and like, sadness and trauma and inability to speak about the things that are traumatizing us. That must be because we're not using the healing power of the medicine of laughter appropriately. So it's okay. I think you're here to show us how it's done. I'm here too, don't you worry. So just follow mother, she'll teach you how. And I feel like that is how you heal with your humor and through your kind of free spirited, subversive, truth telling, truth seeking kind of way of navigating through life. It just you being you holds a mirror up to other people and shows them like they're keeping themselves small. They're performing. They're performing being just so normal, so regular, nothing interesting about us. Like, okay, that's a weird thing to do with your divine power of creation. You're just gonna like do everything everyone else is doing, do what your parents thought was best, do what the like powers that were, the Epstein class, do what they think you should do. Come on. Ridiculous. Snap out of it. All right, my loves. I've delivered the message. I'm so glad I got to share that with you. I just found it was so interesting. And yeah, I think that you are performing in the great cosmic ceremony that is this earthly human existence. You are here to make us laugh at the absurdities of our, rigidity, the things that we take seriously that we should be like, wait, what? That's so ridiculous. And the things that we don't take seriously that we should. Yeah. Yeah. All right, my darlings. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. If you would like to work with Sheba personally, if you would like to work with me, go to my website, seelikesheba.com. Oh my gosh, just take a look over there. It's so beautiful. Billy created it for me, and it's just like, powerful. And yeah, check it out. Let's work together. Okay. Like, comment, subscribe. I think that's it. All right. I'll talk to you Earth Angels tomorrow, okay? This is like day 91 of my 365 days. And it's just flying by and it's so easy and I'm so proud of myself. And I'm going to keep going. All right? You do the same. Okay? Love you, Earth Angels. Bye.